Hi, welcome to the Interaxis channel and Interaxis.io. We're going to start a series talking about the unbanked or the underbanked and how cryptocurrency, DeFi, blockchain is going to help these groups, which is really the idea of Bitcoin, really what it was designed to do anyway. It was designed to disintermediate, to decentralize, and so it's going to help those that are unbanked and underbanked. But first we want to remind you, please subscribe to the channel. It really helps us out, and you really want to see more content like this, right? Because we come out with videos like this with more content, more insight, more things that we're thinking about, and more ways that cryptocurrency, DeFi, blockchain, digital assets are all impacting you. And we bring out content like this, videos like this a few times a week. You want to have access to them right away, so hit the subscribe button and you'll get access to those videos as soon as we release them. Go ahead and follow us on Twitter as well, at Interaxis8. Leave comments below. Now, we're going to move on. For a while, we're going to talk about the unbanked and the underbanked and how crypto and DeFi and blockchain are helping out these groups. And it's going to be several videos, several lessons where we talk about that. First, we have to talk about what do we mean by the unbanked or the underbanked. There are several different groups we're talking about, several populations we're talking about, and so we don't want to overgeneralize and say it's going to help everybody. There are different ways the different parts of the decentralized ecosystem are going to help different populations. And we want to talk about a few of those. First, we have to talk about who these populations are. So maybe there are the unbanked, for instance, in the U.S. There are a certain number of people that don't have bank accounts or don't use bank accounts. So the question is, let's go back. Why do we even need banks? What's the purpose of the bank? And then we can talk about unbanked, why you wouldn't use one, why you don't need one. Okay. So in the U.S., especially in developed worlds, we use banks. And the reason we use banks, again, is we outsource a lot to banks. And now that's seen as kind of a negative. But in the past, it was a positive. It was absolutely needed. Banks absolutely serve a purpose and have served a purpose. And a lot of that purpose is trust, it's custody, it's risk mitigation, it's a lot of things. So the first point, remember, of the bank is this. I have, in this case, dollars. I have currency. I have something in my pocket. I don't want to walk around with this money all the time. I don't need to have cash. In the past, where banks originally came about thousands of years ago, it's because people didn't want to walk around with gold or with stones or with whatever it was that they used as some sort of currency. And so the idea of the bank was developed, and it was, I put my money or whatever it might be into this organization, and they make a note. They make basically an accounting entry. Adam put in $100 here. We're going to keep track of the fact that Adam holds $100. I have now outsourced the accounting, the keeping of my funds there. And then it became a way that I could tell people what I have. So if I deposited money in this bank, they might give me some sort of note, a bank note, right? And the note says, we're telling anybody else who holds this note, Adam has $100. They might give me 100 of these bank notes. And they denote the fact that I've put in $100 that they're holding in their bank. They have this accounting entry. Remember, they don't keep my $100 sitting there in a vault that's earmarked as Adam's $100. They make an accounting entry. They might give me bank notes, which are essentially notes that say, we, the bank, acknowledge that Adam gave us these dollars. I can then go give those notes to somebody else as payment. Someone else will see that note, and if they trust this bank, they're going to go, okay, we will accept this because we know we can go give this note to this bank and they will give us whatever other currency there is. Okay, that's the idea of a bank. We have outsourced quite a bit of trust to the banks. Okay, they are keeping our money safe. They're keeping our funds safe so that we can denote that how much we have. We can transact. I can go different places. and I don't have to keep a whole wad of cash necessarily, because now this banknote can be a check. Right? So the bank has said, Adam has X number of dollars. Adam, we're going to keep your money very safe. And then we're going to give you these little pieces of paper that you can use to then pay someone. And once you pay them, their bank can check with our bank. We've gone through this several times. I'll go through it one more time. The idea of the bank and what we entrust to them, right, is we have the Adam Ron scenario that we go through all the time, right? I owe Ron money. I pay him $100 with a check. He gives me $100 worth of goods or services or whatever it might be. Ron takes that check. He deposits in his bank. We'll call it Bank of America. He puts in the $100 check into his account. Okay, Bank of America says, okay, Ron, that's great that you have this check from Adam. We're going to make sure that he actually had the money. So Bank of America goes over here to my bank. We'll call it Chase. Does Adam actually have this money? Chase says, yes, he does. They said, all right, wire it to us. It goes here. They send the $100 to Bank of America. Bank of America makes the note in Ron's account that he now has this money. Ron can go write a check for something else. That's how the bank works. We have outsourced trust to the bank. The bank, meanwhile, has outsourced quite a bit of this trust, this taking of risk, to insurance companies to say if we get stolen, hacked, whatever it might be, you will make our clients whole. And of course, they've outsourced it to the Fed, the FDIC, this federal insurance that says I can deposit a certain amount of money in this bank, and if there is a run on the bank, this is not if the bank gets hacked or money gets stolen, this is if there's a run on the banks because everyone wants their money at the same time and there's not actually enough dollars in this bank to give me everything I have deposited. The FDIC, the Federal Depository Insurance Corporation, which is essentially the U.S. government, will say, here's the money, so Adam can withdraw everything he needs to withdraw. Okay, this is really important because it means we've outsourced to the bank is outsourced to the federal government. It makes us feel safe and secure. Now, other things that the bank does, other things that banks do. Banks then take this money that we've deposited, and again, we're going through all this to show what the unbanked don't do. They take this money that I've deposited, this $100, and they say, you know what, we're not just going to let this hang out sitting in our vaults. We're going to put it to use. So we're going to lend it out to someone else. So we're going to take care of the underwriting. We're going to lend this money out, and we're going to earn some level of interest. Okay, so they lend the money out. They might, pay me some interest. It doesn't go straight through to me. It goes to the bank in here. And what they do is they charge some sort of fees in between. They charge these people fees. They also charge me fees to actually hold my money. They charge me fees for certain things because they have to pay for bank branches and bank tellers and paper and everything. They have to pay the government for FDIC. They have to pay for all these things. When I go deposit cash, if I have a restaurant and I have just a ton of cash that I'm depositing at the bank, it takes them time to count, and it's a process. It's not an easy electronic process. So they probably charge me to actually bring in and deposit cash. They might charge me if I keep below a certain balance because they say, look, we have to go through all this work, and if you don't keep at least $1,500 in your account at any one time, we're actually going to charge you because it's kind of not worth our time if you only have $1,500, but we still have to do all this other compliance stuff and everything else. You have to keep a certain minimum amount, and otherwise we charge you a fee. You know what else they charge? They charge a fee for, they charge withdrawal fees, they charge deposit fees, they charge fees if I don't have enough money in my account and I write a check. If I wrote this check for $100 to Ron and I only had $50 in my account, they're going to charge me probably a $30 overdraft fee. So not only am I going to have to come up with the additional $50, but now there's a $30 overdraft fee. Okay, plus there's monthly fees here if I don't keep enough money in the account. There's all sorts of other fees here. Now again, it's not the bank being evil or bad or anything like that. They're charged with a certain task, and that task is to keep my money safe. They outsource some of that to the federal government to keep my money safe, to make things easy for me, to make it to where we can transact. I can use them to send money essentially anywhere in the world. Of course, that costs fees too. You're talking about wire fees and transfer fees and everything else, but I can do it. And they're charging me for that safety and that security and that risk mitigation. I don't have to carry cash in my pocket. I don't have to carry a bunch of checks. There's debit cards and credit cards and everything else. So they're charging me for all that convenience, and they're trying to make my life a little simpler so that I can go about my life, pay my bills and everything else, and feel pretty comfortable. That's what they're charging me for. Now, all that to say, because of all those fees, because of all that friction, because of all that goes in there, there are so many people in this country and in this world that do not participate in the banking system. And that means that they don't have bank accounts. So they get paid, somehow, so there's money that comes in to someone, and instead of going to the bank, like I would do, or have a direct deposit, which a lot of people do, they just get cash. Maybe they get paid in cash. Maybe they just go to a payroll paycheck loan place and get cash against their paycheck or against a future paycheck and pay exorbitant fees and exorbitant percentages, interest, but they do it because they don't have a banking relationship. So they need to go through this because maybe they pay their bills in cash. Maybe it's like a construction company and they have to pay their help. They have to pay their employees in cash. Okay, maybe they just use cash to buy food, right? And it doesn't make sense because if I go deposit a check today, if I get a check for $100 today, and I go deposit it in the bank, and today is Friday, it might not show up in my account till Monday. I have to buy food today. How am I going to do that if I don't have cash? So I might go to some place, cash the check, and just and use that cash, and I never need a bank. And if I don't make enough money to actually ever have anything above whatever that minimum threshold is for the bank, it probably never makes sense. If I'm never going to have more than $2,000 in an account, it never makes sense really to even have a bank. I don't need to keep my money safe for very long. I need to keep it safe long enough to get it from however I got paid to go buy food, pay my bills, make it through the week till the next time I get paid. And I apologize for stereotyping and generalization, but that's a lot of the unbanked is I never have enough to have in my account to get over that hump where I don't get charged fees. Therefore, why do I need a bank account? Furthermore, if I do that and the timing is off and I get a $30 overdraft fee and I only got paid a couple $100 last week, that's a huge percentage just for an overdraft fee. Okay, if I get charged a $15 monthly fee for not having $1,500 in my account, that becomes a huge percentage of my savings. Why would I ever do that if I can just go cash? If I can just go get my paycheck turned into cash and just go use that, why do I need to go through a bank? There's too many fees and too much friction to go through that. Remember, we talk all the time about DeFi, about crypto, trying to get rid of fees and get rid of friction. They're trying to disintermediate, take out the banks. And it's not, again, because banks are all bad. It's because for a lot of things, they're just not necessary, and for a lot of times they cause too much friction now. We don't need to always be outsourcing our trust to them. Okay, so a lot of people just use cash, just are able to transact that way. Sometimes they're able to barter. And again, that's in the developed world. Is you just go straight from I get paid in cash, I pay my bills in cash, I never enter the banking system. Now, because I never enter the banking system, I also never enter the saving system. I never enter the lending system. I never get interest. I never invest in the stock market or any other sort of investments. It is literally living, it's not even living paycheck to paycheck, it's living cash, it's living payday to payday, because I never even got into the banking system. That is a tremendous amount of the unbanked or underbanked here in the US and in other developing countries or other developed countries. That's a little about the unbanked here. Now, when you get into other countries, it becomes a whole other issue, but I want to talk a little bit about what the unbanked are here in the US so that we can then launch into, in the coming weeks, more talk about how cryptocurrency and DeFi is actually poised and could potentially help the and underbanked in the US and in the world. So in the next video, we'll talk probably about about the unbanked and underbanked in the world, because that's going to because cryptocurrency, DeFi, blockchain is all going to help those. But for right now, we're going to talk about the unbanked in the US and the developed world, and we will go into how crypto, DeFi, blockchain can help those populations, can help them save, use money better, reduce fees, reduce friction, and get them to a point where they can, potentially be participating even more in the economy. So that's a little bit about the unbanked here in the US and in the developed world. We hope you enjoy this. Please subscribe to the channel here. Follow us on Twitter at Interaxis8. Our email address info@interaxis.io. Please leave comments if you have them. We hope to see you in the next video.